Hello and welcome to the Intuitive Wisdom for Modern Transformation podcast. This is Dr. Morgan Oakes, and I'm so excited to be able to share this journey with you. I'm a transformational speaker, a high-performance coach, and a shamanic practitioner. I'll also be your host each week as we explore together the different ways in which people really get clear about what matters most, about how they're able to take courageous and inspired action, and ultimately transform and live their best life. I know that when I hear of the stories of the amazing things that others have been able to do, it really inspires me and helps level up what's possible in my life, and I trust the same is true for you. Thank you for being here on this journey with me today, and let's dive in. Hello and welcome. This is the Intuitive Wisdom for Modern Transformation podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Morgan Oakes, and today we're going to be talking about courageous living. Now, this is, I think it's a really important thing. It's that thing that gets us into motion. It's that thing that gets us out of the bad place and gets us into the good place, and something I'm really passionate about, so I'm excited to chat with you today about it. Now, to start with a quote, this is from Nelson Mandela. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Nelson Mandela again. So I think that's really powerful. It's not about making it go away. It's about really acknowledging that it's a real thing, fear that is, and courage being the kind of the antidote, the thing that helps you move through it. I grew up in Wyoming in a small town, and there's this country song I remember growing up that said, if you're going through hell, keep on going. And I think that's courage. There's always stuff going on. There's always things going on in our life. So today what I'm looking forward to is exploring some of the ways that other people, including myself, have overcome things and have courageously stepped forward into what they're wanting to do. Now, we've all been courageous in the past. I know we all have our stories, we all have our experiences, and many times what's courageous for one person is nothing for the other person. So a lot of times I don't think we really recognize our places of courage. You know, the things that for us may just be normal, but for somebody else are really tremendous. And that's where I think it's really important to share stories and to, both share our stories and also hear other people's stories, because it allows us to acknowledge the amazing things we've done, and it helps us to, find that permission or find that piece outside of us that will help pull us forward into our next great adventure or accomplishment or victory or win. And so, we all have those places that we've done it. And, a spiritual teacher of mine has repeatedly said that 80% of everything is always working. So foundationally, most of what's going on in our life is good, and there might be that 20% that we're needing to clean up and move forward into. And so courage is what helps clean up that last 20%. And the broader framework I showed a couple episodes ago is really around clarity, courage, and inspired action. So, we get clear, we take a courageous action, and then we continue living into inspired action. Or more simply, we listen and we step. And what really bridges those two is courage. It's what keeps us moving forward. So as we dive further into this, I want you to hold in your mind that the root of the word courage is actually heart. So courage is about tying into your heart. I think it's about knowing what we're passionate about so we can courageously step into what we're wanting to live into. And again, it's different for everyone. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share a bunch of different things that can really maybe help you level up, that will help you step into courage. And so I want you to pick maybe one area of your life that you could be a little bit more courageous. And maybe you think you're totally being courageous, but you haven't got the results that you're wanting to get. So maybe there's something bigger out there that you're not stepping into yet. So maybe hold that one place and that one area of your life. Maybe it's in your business, maybe it's in your relationship, your health, how you relate with somebody in a friend group or different family members. So hold that one area where you'd like to see some forward momentum. And as I'm sharing all these things today, see if maybe one of these will be a good tool or resource that'll help you level up in that area. So I think one place to start with courage is the fact that we've got these frameworks of past, present, and future. And if you think back to your past, again, all of you listening have a place where you've been courageous. It may be huge courageous, like saving somebody from a burning building. It might be huge courageous, like, deciding to spend your life with somebody or have a child or make a big move across the country or accept a new job or to dive into a specific diet or a workout routine. Or it might seem small. It might be just some daily thing that you've changed, or it's subtly shifting things so that those small changes made daily over time create huge impact and huge change. So I know that all of you have been courageous in the past, and hopefully you've had some areas pop into your mind as I've been saying that. And we probably all in our past have areas that we could have been more courageous, that we were halfway courageous or partially courageous, or we just sidestep being courageous at all. And I think those opportunities always come back to us. Many times, lack of courage or a lack of action in a space will, cut down what was potential moving forward. It's that opportunity not taken that maybe lowers the total, possible spectrum of what's available moving forward. So we've got the past. We've got places we've been amazing. We've got places where we could have been a little bit better. So I think just acknowledging those on both sides with kindness and just treating them, with gentle vision. We have our present moment, and that's really the only place we can ever take action from or move from. So in the present moment, what are your pain points? What are the points you're wanting to move away from? Or maybe what are the things that are out in the future for you that are those, those possibilities or those places you're really wanting to grow and evolve and live into? And those things can help move us forward. Sometimes we're wanting to move away from a pain. Sometimes we're wanting to move into a positive. And so both of those work. I think it's almost nice to have both of them. So let's consider, finances. Moving away from, let's say, being in a lack place versus moving into a place of abundance. And I think you hear these stories where there's somebody that will always move just out of that lack place, but then their drive is gone, and so they keep crashing back into it. And that's because they were moving away from pain, but they didn't necessarily have that positive out in the future to pull them forward. Sometimes pain will get us into motion. I think we need that positive out front to keep us going as well. I think the same is true for weight loss. People will get out of that painful zone, and then they don't have something driving them forward, and so they keep dipping back into it. So we've got past, present, and future. And what is something that's very true about courage is the idea that objects in motion tend to stay in motion. So it's not about whether or not you're moving right now or moving in the right direction. It's can you get moving in the right direction from wherever you're at? And we know that once objects start in motion, they tend to stay in motion. And so many times it's what's that next little step? And there's kind of a courage scale that I like to look at. Some people like to do really, really small things to get started. Like they don't want a huge commitment. They don't want to take a huge leap off of any cliffs. They want, what's that next best step? They're holding that thing in the future. What's that next best step that's going to move me there? And it can keep moving me forward. And that's one way to do it. Other people on that courage scale like to do something that's huge, and they're the type of people that'll quit a job or move to a city without a job, or they'll, they jump off that cliff and always assume those wings are going to form. And that's another way to do it. And sometimes, we look at where are we on that scale. Sometimes I like to do small things that nobody knows about. And there's other times that I like to make an announcement to somebody and really leap off that cliff and know that I need to follow through at this point because I'm committed. And it really depends on how open to risk or risk adverse you might be, and also what's going to drive that motivation. So that's one way to look at it. And, sometimes it can be something small like I'm going to commit to this workout partner that we're going to work out 2 or 3 times a week. And that's enough. So it's not a huge commitment, but it's a commitment to somebody else to start that motion. I think another thing that works really well is goal setting. We need those big long-term goals, so we've got that thing pulling us forward in the future, but many times those are too hard to drive daily activity. So breaking that down, what are the one-year goals? What are the quarterly goals? What are the monthly goals? What are the weekly goals? And what am I hoping to get done today? And sometimes when I fire up into a set of work, I'm like, okay, what am I trying to get done in the next hour? It has to be that small, that minute, that detailed and finite so that I can actually get through it and so it can be bite-sized for me. So I think goals are good, and I think when we look at goals, and we'll go further into this in future episodes, you've got those, SMART goals that are really defined. They're on a timeline. They're achievable. They're something that are really defined and narrowed in. And that's one way to set goals. I think it's really powerful. I also think using another way to set goals that's a bit more vague, like how do I want to feel? How do I want it to be? Maybe it's doing things through a dream board, or it's just keeping a little bit looser so that you allow the universe, you allow, all these synchronicities to come together, and, maybe it's a gray colored house instead of a manila colored house, and then you have to paint it. But, specific goals to pull us forward so we know what to functionally actively do. And then maybe a little bit more of a broad goal so that you're being pulled forward through something a little bit more energetic, a little bit more esoteric. You're looking for that feeling or that experience. So, also looking at what motivates you. What motivates you? What's pulling you forward? Are you motivated away from that pain again? Or are you motivated to something in the future that's a little bit more positive? And, many times, what's that external factor? Is it an outcome? Is it an event? Is it a connection with a person? Are you wanting to, long-term be in a better relationship with your current spouse? And what's necessary to make that happen? Or maybe a better relationship with your kids. Or maybe you're wanting to move up the ladder at work, or you're wanting to, within your own business, change your finances and what's coming in. Like, what is it that actually motivates you? And then you can use that to kind of leverage how you're going to actually get there. And I've always heard one of the greatest motivators having kids. It changes that framework. It changes what's important on a day-to-day basis, and it also changes that goal out in the future that you're moving to. So, and I think your environment plays a big part as well. Who are the 5 people you're spending the most time with? Are they the people that are moving towards and accomplishing their goals and talking about it and sharing it with you and motivating you? And when you share your goals with your 5 people, how's that being received? Are they lifting you up? Are they holding you accountable? Are they asking how things are going? Or are they the opposite? And maybe they're not supporting your goals, and they're those negative voices that make it into your head. And so really looking at those 5 people, and I think we also get a choice of who we surround ourselves with. I basically always have a coach because I want that person that's objective. They're ahead of me in whatever area or arena that I'm getting coaching from them. And so we look at 3 different things around that as well: modeling, mentoring, and coaching. So modeling, what's being done that is similar enough to what you're wanting to do that you can model after it. Maybe it's the way somebody lives, maybe it's the way somebody's doing something, maybe it's a specific business model or a workout regimen or a 21-day challenge, or it's something that you can model your life and your behaviors after. And that's a really easy, low accountability level way to do that. The second level might be mentoring. So maybe it's working directly with somebody that's a friend or a business person that you work with, or somebody that you can really model with them, mentor with them, and be guided by what's worked for them and be getting feedback. And, that many times that looks like it's almost like a variation of friendship when you're stepping into that mentoring world. And then on another level up, we've got coaching, which is I am working with this person directly for specific outcomes in a specific area of my life moving forward, whether it's a life coach or a business coach or a spiritual coach or a relationship coach or a health coach. There's so many different varieties of this. And I know when I'm working with my clients, a lot of times those worlds overlap, because if you're going to upgrade, let's say, your relationship, you might have to add more exercise. You might have to change your diet. You may have to clean up some boundaries at work so that this one specific area can up level, because we know that they're all tied together, right? And I see it so many times in the work that I do where, you come in with what you think is your goal and so many different areas level up. So again, that third level, you've got modeling, mentoring, and then coaching as a way to lift yourself up. And a lot of times, courage in a specific area might be signing up with a coach. It might be signing up with a program. It might be, committing to a friend that you're going to be workout partners, or you're going to do a 21-day challenge, or committing to your spouse or partner that you're going to make a change around the house to positively impact your relationship. So I think courage is ultimately, we've got the river of life, and there's certain places in the river that the log will get jammed into the rocks alongside the river, and we need to do something to kick that log back out in the river so that we can stay in flow and so we can keep moving towards that ultimate destination in whatever aspect of our life that might be. Courage is kicking that log back out into the river. Lots of different ways to do it. Hopefully in our call, in our podcast today, this video, that you've maybe heard something that resonates. And in the beginning, I asked you to pick what's that one area of your life that more courage would serve you, or that there's some pain, or that you're wanting some forward momentum. I hope these ideas have stirred something up. Maybe you have just that one thing that you're like, oh my gosh, I did this once, but I didn't do it again. Or I've never considered that. Or a lot of times it jumps into our head, our heart, or our gut right away, and we're like, oh yeah, I know what I should be doing. So I hope you received one of those today. I hope that you're getting a lot out of these podcasts, and that we can continue to keep exploring this world of intuitive wisdom and modern transformation together. Again, Dr. Morgan Oakes, I'm so happy to be with you today. Be well and make it amazing. Thank you for exploring intuitive wisdom and modern transformation with me today. If you enjoyed your experience, please rate, review, and subscribe to the show on iTunes. It really does make a difference. For those of you that want more information about having me speak at your company or event, or are interested in coaching directly with me, please go to drmorganoakes.com and send me a message today.